Welcome to yet another episode of Unleash the Network podcast, a podcast that aims to inspire and educate our listeners by sharing stories from Mastercard Foundation scholars and African Leadership Academy alumni who have gone on to make a positive impact in their communities and promote values of leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Apollinaire, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you on the show. When I was preparing for this conversation, one of the things that I found quite interesting and exciting was the fact that this is going to be the first episode where I'm going to be speaking to someone who is interested in technology and AI, especially how we can use these tools for economic development, especially in developing countries. So, quite excited to be having this conversation with you.
It's an honor to talk to you about this.
Technology and economic development. Where did you get started?
Question. I think it got started very early at an early age where, I had that passion, like every other kid around, on how we can use technology to have fun, I guess. But then how can we have fun while, making an impact with it? And I think that's where LA come in and introduce me to the way, we can really use our mind, our skills, connections, and knowledge to create an impact in our communities. But then the ability to create that impact really started a year ago, when I met this institution in the US called Equitech Futures, which gave me the opportunity to, explore what I can do with technology in the social impact sector. Because they focus on, helping us upskill, but also supporting us go out there and create an impact. So I decided to, use technology in the sense that I can best. One, through education, where we co-founded a company called NawiriTech, where we upskill young Africans in the field of data and data science, and also do something which is more interesting to me, which is research, especially development economic research. So that's how it started, and that's how I'm actually using technology to create an impact in the community.
Is there anything that inspired you to focus on development economic research?
Yes, definitely. I think that's quite natural from where I come from. I come from Togo, and of course, it's a developing country. However, I was always interested in, how people use data and how they make sense of data to create evidence. But one observation that I had in Togo is that we pretty much have no researchers. According to the World Bank, we have 48 researchers per 1 million, which is, if we compare it to France, which has 4,200 researchers per 1 million, this is quite an inequality. And like big institutions which I'm fan of, which are like JPAL and IPA, which work in the field of research and development, trying to use evidence to create an impact, right? But these institutions, I may tell you, have never worked in Togo, actually. So for us to come to, a stage where the Togolese government and the Togolese policymakers can make their policies and programs using evidence, knowing what works and what does not work, we really need people coming from Togo to, take that responsibility to go out there and know how this research work and how, we can come up with solutions that work rather than solutions that are driven by intuition. But we want to eliminate that intuition from policy making and, use more evidence and data and what's happening. And that's where I was like, I already had the passion, but now I need the knowledge and I'm in the process. But I think this is something that's really like motivating me, which is the challenge that we have, the lack of researchers that we have. And our problem is persistent because we don't have researchers. And why not? I will be one of them and one of the many that will rise in the future.
What's happening in Togo really is a representation of what's happening in the whole continent, because if we are to search for any type of data in the African continent, it's really, really tough to find data. And right now, we are living in a data-driven world. And so the more data you have, the more accurate decisions you can make.
That's very true. And interestingly, most of the well-known research that are happening in Africa, whether it is in Kenya, which is like attracting a lot of research because of the funding opportunities that are coming in Kenya, or whether it is in the southern part of Africa, most of the research are actually conducted by foreigners, people coming from the US. It's very rare to actually see Africans going into the field of research and doing that work. and only foreigners are doing it, while they do not have they do not know the context in which we live in our continent. So it's actually important for us to be there so that, even though they have the skill, they do a good work, we can provide extra because we know the conditions, we know what we are talking about. So it's definitely a problem that's happening on the entire continent, and something needs to be done about it. And that can only be done if we really take that responsibility as, young people who can do that in the near future.
Why do you think that is the problem? The fact that we are having less researchers compared to any part of the world?
I think there are a number of, barriers to that. And I may try to list some, but let me start with what's happening in Togo, for example. What's happening is that people do not know what kind of work they can do with technology. When you talk about technology, most people think about Google, Microsoft, right? And these are corporate industries which use, data to, for profits, right? And then people do not have a knowledge of what can be done in the social impact sector. As I just told you, two of the biggest companies working in the research and development in the world do not operate in Togo, and how can the youth know about that? That's going to be very rare, right? And also at NawiriTech, with my other, co-founders in the company, we conduct market research to understand how young people in Africa perceive technology and data, right? And we observe that all they want to learn is machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is good, but they do not enjoy learning things like data collection or, how to analyze data to inform a policy decision or to inform, a solution-making process on the continent. So, and they were really not interested into learning about such things, but that's only simply because they do not know that these things exist. They do not know that it's something they can do. It's not, they only know about Google, Microsoft, because of course they come with a huge package as a salary, right? But they come also with, reputation. And I think, so the problem is, people do not know what can be done with technology. People do not know in the social sector. Another problem, of course, is that most of the institutions that teach about research and the economic fields are in the US, obviously, although there are young people who go there to study, these kind of fields. I may tell you that, for example, I recently did some research on the University of Chicago and MIT. There is no African who's actually studying economics as a PhD program. And that's actually, sad because we do get the opportunities to study such things, but we prefer other things. I guess that's also linked to the fact that people do not really know what they can do in the development sector. But yeah, I think that's a big issue. So we really need to take a step forward and let people know what is being done in the social sector using technology. Not only, the corporate sector is benefiting from it. Some people are doing amazing work using technology in the development sector.
And I hope one of the works that NawiriTech is doing is trying to help young people understand the importance of data and how we can use data for development.
Definitely. We have many programs, but in each program we teach us, not, I don't want to call them students, we teach learners two basic courses. The first one is called Data Science for Social Impacts, where everything we teach about data science, we link it with social impact, and we bring in case studies conducted by JPAL and the IPA, ID Insights, all these, companies working in the social sector. We link it so that they can understand, have a knowledge of what's happening, and show them, how it is done. And we do not really want to show them what every other company is showing them in terms of data science, like knowledge about machine learning. We can show them how to do machine learning, but we'll only show them how to use machine learning in the social impact sector. We only focus on the social impact, and that's what we are doing at NawiriTech. And we have another course, which is problem solving and programming, and not very well. We didn't just call it programming, but we call it problem solving and programming, because even our programming courses are not just about coding, but it teaches you how code is used as a language, which is more about logic and, solving a solution, solving a problem, right? So it's a lot of conversation, which is really unlike other programming courses, and that's something we really focus on in the NawiriTech programs. Yeah.
It sounds like everything you have been doing, the center of it has been social impact, and it sounds like social impact carries a significant meaning to you.
It is, definitely, it is something I really focus on recently, because I mean, as early students, that's what we see. We see problems, and we see problems as an opportunity. And so for someone like me who's in the tech sector, I can only work on these problems using the skills that I have and the passion that I have with tech. So definitely I have to align, my skills, passion with what I always wanted to do and which drove me into joining ALA, right? Which is creating an impact in the society. So social impact is going to be something I'll always focus on in my career, hopefully.
Speaking about social impact, what has the impact been so far in terms of your own work and work with NawiriTech?
I'll start with my own work. Since I only finished my undergraduate studies from India less than a year ago. So I've been in the field for less than a year, and I've been in the field of research. However, research takes time because there's field data collection, there's analysis, and so on. But currently, I've been working with Dr. Abhilash Mishra, who's at the University of Chicago, and Keshin Shu, who's a student at Imperial School of London, and we are working on a project to understand why people do not use digital financing tools in West Africa. And I think you're from East Africa in Tanzania, you may realize that M-Pesa is widely used and it's widely accessible, right? Let's just take this small problem and transfer it in the context of West Africa. You realize that in West Africa, we pretty much have the same number of registered accounts as people have, as East Africa have. But in terms of usage, we have we have less than 3 times transactions than East Africa make in a year, according to a report by GSMA, which focuses on mobile money industry. And we also have less than 3 times, the value of transactions that East Africa makes, while we have pretty much the same number of registered accounts. So there is access. Everybody have access to the technology, but people do not use that technology. So with that, we're trying to explore why people do not use, the technology, even though they have it. And why are we focusing on mobile money? Because we all know how digital financing is driving the economic development in developing worlds. Like M-Pesa is helping a lot of people with saving. It's actually helping people in how they operate businesses. It's even bringing people out of poverty by changing the mindset of, there have been researches about people, especially women, changing their occupations because of the ability to use digital financing. So if we can increase the usage of digital financing technologies in that part of Africa, which is the West, where people do not use it even though they have it, which this can create an impact, at least a small impact, and we can expand on it in future researches, right? And right now, we have collected data in Togo and through field data collection, our expertise and training some, surveyors on the fields, and we're in the process of analyzing this data to create some impact and hopefully some programs. So that's the bit we are working on so far, and it has been less than 7 months, I think. So, it's still in the early stage. But if I come back to what we're doing at NawiriTech, there's already some impact because we started NawiriTech programs in November, actually, last year only. And our first program was just how do you call it? We were just trying. So we took like 10 students and, tried to teach them about data science and social impacts. And the interesting thing is that 2 months later, we launched a new program, which was like our very first program. And we got over 230 applicants from 13 countries in Africa, which shows, how much people are looking for these skills, even though I'm presuming some of them, were very excited about learning something new, which is not only data science, but also data science and how it can be applied in the social sector. And one good thing that we're doing at NawiriTech is that we do not open our programs to only people who have skills to succeed in data science. We open it to people who are interested, regardless of their backgrounds, academic background or any other background. So we have most of our current learners are from agriculture sector, are people who studied law, people who studied anything which is either engineering or not related to data science, but they have the skill because data skills are not only for people who come from mathematical background or, this technical is for everybody because many people sit, in rooms where they want to understand what is being discussed around data, but they do not know it. So in that sense, we're creating huge impact in NawiriTech, having had like that many applicants, and we selected 25 so far, and they will be finishing that program very soon next week, and we'll be launching another one. So if NawiriTech, every 1 month or 2 months, we're just bringing in people from different backgrounds and giving them those skills, giving them that, that novel experience about data science and social impacts.
And I think the number of applications that you have received speaks to the demand that exists out there.
Definitely.
For those who are listening to this, the applications are open. Go ahead and check them out. They'll be open soon. Go ahead and check them out. If you're interested in data science, go for it. And I think partly the challenge could be, when most people hear data, they think, well, it's numbers. I have to be good in mathematics. But now you have made it clear that it's not only open to individuals who are good in mathematics or love mathematics, but it's really open to everyone.
Yeah, we take the challenge of, bringing in people who do not have knowledge of mathematics and making sure that they live with the basic understanding of mathematics and statistics and how that applies in data science, and also a solid knowledge of programming using Python, right? And so far we're only focusing on Python, but we are really taking the challenge, and we're not just going for people who would think are going to make it easy for us, but we are going for people who would think need it, regardless of their their pre-knowledge, and it's up to us to help them upskill and gain that knowledge that they came for.
Should Africa fully utilize data and decision making? How would the continent look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years down the line?
Okay, that's interesting, but I'll be very honest. In the next 10 years and 15 years, we will not be able to, use data in the optimal way. It's going to take more than that. It's actually going to take more than that, because let me just shift a bit in the development economic sector. When you have usually research project take more than 1 year or 2 years, and being able to really master, how to utilize these tools sometimes require a PhD program. So, like right now, Africa is very behind in terms of interest and even skill. So for us to bring up that interest, which is going to take some years, and bring up those skills, which is going to take extra years, and actually do the work on the field, it's going to take long, but there's hope, of course. But I think if we are capable of using data, which I call evidence always, and make sense of it, in the right way to help the social impact setup, many people will be, helped in the fight against poverty. Many people will help in the health sector. There's so much impact we can create with it, by understanding what's happening. Because most of the time we create solutions just by intuition. We're like, okay, this is gonna work, but is it gonna work? That's a question that data science can help. That's not data science done at Google. I'm sorry, but it's only data science that's done by companies which NawiriTech is talking about, right? Which is like the social impact sector. So if we can create, a way for Africans to come up with these solutions based on evidence, not intuition, we'll be helping many sectors, in their fights against poverty, health problems, education, and many others.
Thank you for the work that you're doing, and I hope you're able to inspire more young people to become interested and fascinated by data and the power that comes with it, which includes being able to make informed decisions, right? Because you have evidence, as how you pointed out earlier.
Yes.
And good luck with NawiriTech, and looking forward to the impact that you're going to be creating.
Thank you very much.